There was the GT70, which I bought. Here it is, look. Doors open and everything. Fantastic. Because anybody whose eyes were working properly would recognise that this is the ugliest thing. It is!
It is a
it's
superb-looking
car
car.
ever where children will be sick before they get in the back.
Rubbish.
We'll have a vote.
All right.
Hands up, everyone who thinks it's ugly. I didn't prompt them or anything. Now hands up those who think it's not ugly. You see, all the ones who've left their glasses at home.
All right, all right. You are an executive. This is going to take a bit of imagination. You're an executive, OK, and you're going to buy a new car. You're not going to buy that S-Type Jag, are you? It's a great drive, but you wouldn't let your kids sit around with their mouths open like that.
No.
E-Class Mercedes. Now, you've got a Mercedes. How much have you enjoyed it over the summer?
No, I haven't. It's been in the shop the entire time. It goes in, it's broken, it comes back more broken and goes in again. That's pretty much Mercedes ownership.
So you're not having one of those?
No.
You're not having an Audi A6 because it's too old?
No.
You're not having a Kia Magentis because it's stupid? No, you wouldn't.
No, you're right, I wouldn't.
And you're not going to have an Alfa 166 because nobody would buy a new one?
Yeah.
You, Jeremy Clarkson, you are the European Director of Photocopying, brackets, toner distribution. You will buy one of these.
I've suddenly decided I don't want to talk to you anymore. I mean, who's going around the M25 and thinks, I've suddenly decided I need a pair of trousers? Oh, for God's sake. My video's in the discount bin. $3.99. No one knows what torque is, but this has 144 of them.
A small hatchback, OK? When you drive one of those and it's a diesel, it says three things about you. One is you're tighter than two coats of paint. The second one is that you care so much about the environment that you want to leave a little protective sooty film over it. And the third one is you're probably French.
I've suddenly remembered why I don't like talking to you. So
I love people's faces in traffic jams. They're always so miserable. Could be worse. You could be shot in the back of the head by a marksman.
Long way away. Hold on a second. Dear Jeremy, my aim is to meet you in your...
No, read out what it actually says, dear.
Dear superstar, Mr. Jeremy Clarkson.
And just do the end as well.
Best luck to you, King.
That'd be me.
What on earth is the man going on about? It is rather difficult to understand. My aim is to meet you, and I send with this post a VCD. It is show how I and my friends driving. It's contains. It does get a little bit difficult to follow, but the video that they sent in is very easy to follow.
This is a Toyota Carina, front-wheel drive.
It is.
So he must be using the handbrake to make it do this into the oil tanker. No, he just misses that. Well done.
Oh, that's just madness. He's in the street. There are people there. This man is insane.
20,000 tons of aircraft carrier and home to a fleet of Harrier jump jets. This plane goes from 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds and is hitting 100 miles an hour by the time it reaches the end of the 200-metre runway. And that has given the Stig his biggest challenge yet. 100 miles an hour in 200 metres. Obviously, he needed a special kind of vehicle. And this is it. The old Top Gear Jag. Bought for a couple of £100, it was stripped of its fat and fitted with nitrous injection. That meant 500 brake horsepower. In a drag race in the last series, it beat just about every supercar on the planet. But is it enough here? Top Gun versus Top Gear. 100 miles an hour in 200 metres, and unlike the pilot, the Stig must leave himself enough space to pull up again. He's ready. And he's off. There we go. Now he's got to get to 100 and then stop again. Here we go. That's too fast.
that was not supposed to happen. And that is unquestionably the end of our Jaguar. But what about the Stig? That is all that was there. The Navy divers went down, but they couldn't find anything. But I'm afraid I have some bad news. The Stig is dead. And so we've prepared this little tribute to the easy-listening man in black. Looking fast. Oh, that is very fast. Good Stig. Oh, near tail slide, but he's still kept the power on. Stoke up the Stig. And up to a huge speed.
Seasons don't feel the reaper, nor do the wind, the sun, or the rain.
And he crosses the line in!
My God.
Come on, baby, don't feel the reaper. Baby, take my hand, don't feel the reaper. We'll be able to find.
To get it back, you'll have to be a genius.
Baby, I'm your man.
He's sideways, he's lost it. One of these days he's going to kill himself. We're going to need a new Stig. Stig.
Ooh, no, baby, please don't go. And if you leave me now, you'll take away the very heart of me. Ooh, no, baby, please don't go. Ooh, girl, I just want you to stay.
Very sad day. But there's plenty more where he came from. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very big hand, please, for Top Gear's new Stig. Like the last one, the dead one, this one will be letting his driving do the talking. And he'll be doing just that, actually. Of course, it isn't especially comfortable or quiet, and you can't put heavy shopping in the boot in case it falls through the cardboard floor. And you can't use it unless it's hot and sunny. And if it is hot and sunny, you'll melt because there's no air conditioning. And if rain is on the way, you won't know because you can't hear the weather forecast because there's no radio.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yes! Loser! Said in the book! Don't believe the Germans!
Who cares how fast your roof is, anyway?
You cared! You cared! I've got the fastest automatic electric roof in the world, and now it turns out you haven't.
Odd one here from Steve Rowland. We have a cat called Stig. So can you please change the name of your racing driver to something other than Stig? Because every time your programme on his sleep is disturbed when you mention the Stig's name. Actually, come to think of it, Stig. See those slippers? Pee in them.
Go.
Oh,
The
not
Honda
the
S2000,
ridiculous Honda.
137 to beat. Yes! That's all we've got time for. Let's just find out. What do you drive, sir?
355.
A Ferrari.
Yeah.
There's an interesting statistic on Ferrari. What is it, James?
90% of people who said they had a Ferrari were lying.
It's true, honest, it's true. People were actually filling in the form, and then we checked everything, or the company that did it, checked everything with the DVLA. 90% hadn't got a Ferrari. And you think, why did you do that? What did you think some really beautiful girl was going to... Ooh, there's a bloke. of cars in the last few weeks. We haven't put them up. We're going to start with the Bentley Continental GT. Where do we think? Cool? No, it's cool. OK, well, thank you all for your opinion. It's cool.
It is cool.
However, with a proviso. As soon as you open your copy of the Sun newspaper and you see that Mr. Beckham has taken delivery of his, it's on its way down. But for now, since he doesn't have one, it's a cool car.
The plane takes off at 137 miles an hour. The car doesn't. The plane is made by Saab. The car is made by General Motors. And finally, the plane uses a Volvo engine.
And they're off. 2.3-litre, 250 horsepower turbo against 21,500 pounds of jack thrust. Harrier's off the ground and already doing 200 miles an hour. Saab's up to 58.
Back to Lamborghini, and believe it or not, this is one. It's an LM002 from the 1980s. It's a sort of military Jeep thing, but it has the V12 engine from the Countach. Now, these days, you could get one of these for about £35,000, which sounds like a bargain, and it does look like fun. However, we would urge caution.
Absolutely. When I started in this business writing about cars, I was earning about 40 quid a week. OK, I borrowed one of these, took it into a petrol station to fill it up, £147. and you had to reset the pump halfway through. So you go, pump stop, you have to go in and pay, then come out and recommence the filling process. And actually, it's no better today. In fact, it's worse, because the tyres are... How much are they?
£550 each.
Each?
Yep.
Each. And if you were to fill this up now, 63, 64-gallon tank, £220 in petrol. Look at that for a face.
Right, we've thought of some rules about this. To qualify as a future classic, any car, we're talking about stuff from the 90s, has to be one of these things. Rare,
Yes.
beautiful,
Yes.
or interesting. And I'd
Yes.
like to propose the original Lexus LS400.
Which is none of those things.
I think it's interesting.
No, it's not interesting, it's not rare, and it sure as heck isn't beautiful. It's hideous, James.
What's wrong with it?
Well, we've had this wall 5 minutes
All right.
and you just ruined it.
I'll put it there, but I'll tell you a story, OK? When I was at school, 1979, I was a schoolboy. At the end of the school day, we used to run down the end of the drive and line up because we wanted to laugh at my English teacher as she drove home in the Mark II Jag.
Yes, but that can go... I mean, that became beautiful. That never will. It belongs
How do you
there.
know?
Well, I've got one here, OK? The Citroen XM.
Oh, for God's
Bear
sake.
with me. It is rare.
I'm sorry.
That goes there, and we'll explain
He's
why in a
right.
minute,
Would
James.
anyone like to hazard a guess why the Citroen XM was rare?
Now, look. Jeremy, can I ask, what's that?
This is an Alfa Romeo
It is.
GTV6, a magnificent car.
I believe you had one.
I did indeed.
And how much did you pay for it, Jeremy?
£5,000.
And then you sold it. And how much did you sell it for?
£3,000.
OK, that didn't go too well. How much was it worth a year later?
£7,000.
So how much do you know about all of this? Absolutely nothing.
Made a mistake on this one.
Well, on that subject, could I bring up the original BMW CSL? I believe you had one of these as well, didn't you?
I did.
And how much did you pay for it?
£3,000.
And how much did you sell it for?
£2,000.
And how much was it worth about a year later?
£12,000.
In fact, as well, BMW Z1, that's a car you had and you sold it, made a loss. They're going up in value. It is, in fact, classic.
The Ferrari F355. Did you have one of these?
Yes,
Have you
yes,
sold
yes,
it?
yes.
Yes, future classic. Marvellous.
Can I just interrupt here? Get out of the way. All of these cars, you'll note, I've chosen well.
Oh, yes.
All of them are classics.
very well, Jeremy.
It's my timing.
The timing is everything. It's like the stock market. What you're
No.
doing is buying high and selling low.
I've just come up with another rule of future classics. Jeremy buys, you sell. He's selling, you buy. OK, there you go. Get on the board.
I love the way that these people come along and comment on style. That's terrific.
Lord.
It's great, isn't it? In kind of every way. And here we go.
I'm mad about the boy.
Coming up now toward the national speed limit.
And
Some
I
of
know
the
it's
shape
stupid
has been lost, some of the
To
style.
be mad about the boy.
Oh, no, it's gone!
But for an Italian car, there's still something that bothers me. Well, that's not right. I mean, I've had this thing nearly a week and nothing's fallen off and everything still works. I mean, who the hell do the Italians think they are anyway? The Germans? So...
And then from here back, it looks like they haven't bothered. Honestly, I have seen more attractive gangrenous wounds than this. It is a monkfish among cars. It has the sex appeal of a camel with gingivitis. And frankly, I would rather walk back to the studio than drive another yard in it. So I shall. That way. Oh, what's that speck in my rearview mirror? Why, it's the Morgan. Little caterpillar anymore, a big fat caterpillar. Built a small house called the Cocoon around himself, stayed inside for more than 2 weeks, and he nibbled the whole of the cocoon, pushed his way out, and he was a bit all butterfly with time to spare.
This Rover 75 might look as if it came out of the 1950s, but in many ways it's the right car for modern Britain. Now, I'm a big fan of modern Britain, but let's think about what it means to the motorists. It's sleeping policemen, gazzos, congestion, broken up road surfaces, all that sort of stuff. Stress. Now, when you're faced with that, what do you want? 0 to 60 in 5, 4, 3 seconds? Louvres on your bonnet? I don't think so. You want peace. That's what the Rover gives you, peace. There's nothing raucous about its V6 engine. It rides more smoothly than a Rolls-Royce Corniche, and it's trimmed like a first-class cabin on the Titanic before it sank. Now, when Jeremy drives a car, he drives a car like this. In fact, even when he's just talking about a car, he does this. And Hammond talks about barrelling along in his Morgan. I don't want to barrel, I want to waft. OK, the Rover is a proper symbol of British defiance.
Awful the reason why Britain has no car industry anymore, why all the names are gone, is because we live in the past. We used to be a great country.
Now, look...
Noble has come along and said, we are now in the 21st century, let's build a car to beat the world.
No, I could build your car. I couldn't build a Morgan.
You'd have to
You could, you carve that?
You
A
need
chisel?
It's craftsman built, not some spotty teenager with a rivet gun.
Now, the problem with the Morgan is it's just a car that they forgot to stop making in the 40s.
No, that's entirely wrong.
OK, the problem with the Noble is the engine's in the wrong place.
You will admit this is a beautiful car.
No,
it's all right.
I wouldn't admit that.
It's a toy, it's not a car.
Exactly.
Hey, I mean, look, we've got an MG here, and this is an Alpha Spider.
And then there's a great big fat old
Twin
thing here.
turbocharged.
Giant wobbly car for putting Americans in.
Twin turbocharged versus the one designed
3.5 litre
by a man from Leicester.
OK.
OK, well, here we go, he said rather nervously.
Good luck.
It's got a bad start. But turbocharged. Come on! And so, on that crushing blow for Richard Atomic Kitten Hamster,
Says Mr. Jeremy Jethro Tull Clarkson.
has a ring, I think. You know when a dog's doing its number twos? That kind of arched back thing? That's what it is. Hideous.
Having been given it, I'm delighted I'm not going to be able to accept it personally, because this is, without question, the most pathetic award I've ever seen in my life.
Take it away. Sounding good. Excellent. OK, here we go. On tonight's cut price Top Gear, a small plastic car that's actually quite economical. We take a seasonal Yuletide trip to Birmingham. Oh, and we do have a supercar, albeit a quite cheap one.